Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. This time we're talking about this beautiful QJMOTOR SRK450, and this is a very special bike because it has probably the best braking system in the class, and we have a very fun fact oriented motorcycle here. So without a further delay, I feel like I'll just hop on the bike and tell what I think. Today we're riding SRK450 RR from QJMOTOR. And long story short, this is my second time riding this bike, just because the first time I rode it, I was riding in a normal mode. And then, when I have already finished my review, my test ride, so to speak, a friend of mine, who's an owner of this bike, he told me, "Oh, you know what? I didn't tell you, right? This bike has two modes, so you were riding in a normal mode, and it has a sport mode as well." I was like, "What? This SRK450 RR has two modes and it has a sport mode as well?" So yeah, today I'm riding SRK450 in the sport mode. Oh yeah. Once you try to perform some slow speed maneuvers and you go to the left, yeah, you see the proximity is pretty small, but yeah, your thumbs are safe. Nothing's pinching your thumb. So that's good to see. Girls, check my bike. Oh yeah. Like, look at this bike. What is it? BMW on Southern RR? Or maybe this is Pinnacle V4? And as long as they cannot tell the difference, I can say whatever I want. But yeah, I have a girlfriend, so probably I'll just say that this is SRK450. You might ask me, isn't it the same bike as CF Moto 450 or Vogue 525? And guys, this machine has three unique features. So the first thing is that this bike, as I have already mentioned, comes with two power modes. I don't know whether you see it or not, but we have two modes, normal and sport, and right now we were in sport mode. The second thing is that on this bike, we have really short gears. So if you want to go fast, let's say if you want to get to 100 kilometers per hour, you have to shift into third gear. On other bikes, gears are longer. It's very, very fun to ride in the city because torque is available pretty much everywhere. However, the trade-off is that the bike would not be as good on a track because, as we know, long gears would be a bit more advantageous for a track. And the third thing is that this bike comes equipped with a dual-sided 300mm disc from the front, and we have 4-piston caliper. So the braking power of these brakes is quite nice. Yeah, and ABS is not very intrusive, which is really good. Who likes intrusive ABS? Nobody. The other thing I want to mention, guys, is that ergonomics on this bike is pretty nice for me as well. Again, this is a little bike, little tiny small displacement sports bike, and I'm 1 meter 85 centimeters, so theoretically this bike would not be the most suitable option for me. But if I'm being honest, I really like those small bikes just because they are extremely nimble, and every single time I enter sharp curves or turns, I feel as if the bike is on the rails, in a good sense. The bike just sticks to the ground. It feels very, very stable, even though this is a very light bike. Speaking about the weight of the bike, as far as I recall, it's 173 kilograms. This is the carb weight of this bike. And again, this is not a super sport ergonomics, so even though the bike looks very similar to SRK800, it's pretty comfortable to ride. So the handlebars are exactly where I want them to be for a city. The seat is quite soft. Suspension, by the way, is quite approachable for pretty much everybody because it's not too hard. So you can ride for a long time without having butt ache, which is a good thing for me. And let's check the brakes, guys. Whoa, yeah. So just now ABS has engaged, but I was squeezing the brake really hard. I just wanted to push it as far as possible. And yeah, guys, I'm telling you, the braking power of these brakes is really good. So much so that my private area doesn't feel too good, which is a good thing for braking actually, because it actually tells you how fast the bike stops. Haha. It's quite alright. Even though we have a pretty sporty look, this bike is very comfortable. So most people who buy those bikes, they're buying those because they look great, they look sporty, but those guys actually don't really want to ride too fast, you know? Because if you want to go really fast, you just go with SRK 800 or I don't know, 921 or something like that. So this bike looks sporty, feels kind of sporty as well in a good way, but still remains very comfortable. And it's so nimble, it's so fun to ride. It's very, very confidence inspiring. Yeah. Alright guys, we're going 75 kilometers per hour. This time I'll try to brake as hard as possible. One more time. Ready? Oh, yeah. We did a tiny stoppie in the end. So this time I didn't make a mistake. And one more thing. While I'm tucked like that, there's pretty much no wind exposure whatsoever, so you feel kind of alright. You don't feel as if the wind is the problem. Oh, I'm telling you guys, just now I hit the brakes in the middle of the way, and the bike stops so fast. I mean, really, legitimately stops so fast. I feel like this bike would stop great, even if it would have like one single disc, let's say. But yeah, QJMOTOR decided to go like bonkers. The bike stops as if it hits something. I'm telling you, like, the braking power of these brakes is astonishing. Like, legitimately, I would say that these are the best brakes in the class for sure. And you know how much I love JH1 on CF Motors, right? But these brakes are even sharper. Like, I would even say much sharper. Which actually might be a downside for a beginner, because if you would just accidentally overpress the front lever, you do a front flip, I don't know, which is really cool actually. No, actually I was joking, because ABS is quite nice on this bike, so you'll not do anything. I would say that when you do some slow speed maneuvers, these brakes might be too sharp, but when you go fast and there is an emergency on your way, these dual-sided brakes from the front are just incredible. Like, the best brakes in the class, in my opinion. Oh yeah. Not bad, huh? Not bad. Yeah, it's really cool that this bike has two modes. But if I'm being honest with you, right? I want to be honest. I don't see and I don't feel the big difference in between those two modes. It feels pretty much the same. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I know that many of you want to know the top speed. And according to QJMOTOR, the top speed of SRK450 is 190 kilometers per hour, which is the same on paper as CF Moto has. Yeah, this bike is very fun to ride, but I know that some of you are very interested about a passenger. You want to know whether I feel good riding with a passenger. So I'll tell you now that the other day, my friend is around 70 kilograms heavy or light. So my friend and I were riding this bike together. I was a rider, and I'll tell you, this was not very pleasant. This was not very pleasant at all, just because this is a tiny bike, and you can still do that. You can still ride with a passenger, but it will not be the most pleasant experience of your life. If you're looking for a very passenger-oriented motorcycle, you know, right? I'll say that you better look further. Oh, it's somehow reminiscent of Yamaha R3, because Yamaha R3 had pretty short gears as well. From the front we have non-adjustable Marzocchi front suspension, and actually it's quite nice, bike feels very stable, even though it's quite light. And every single time I enter sharp curves, I feel great. I feel capable. I feel as if bike is even more capable than me, which is great. So yeah, it's a really nice suspension. From behind we have non-adjustable monoshock, which comes from Marzocchi as well. So suspension is quite VIP for this displacement, for the price tag. It still has one big problem for me, and this problem is the sound. As you can hear, we have 180-degree crankshaft, which means that this bike doesn't sound the best. It sounds pretty lame. And again, performance-wise, this bike is really good for the displacement, really good. I think that this bike looks great, and it's really hard to tell it apart from SRK450 once you look at it like this. Again, once those bikes are together, of course you see the difference. This bike is smaller, it's way more narrow, but actually what really is very reminiscent of SRK450 is those winglets. They look really dope, and actually headlight is pretty much the same. So we have two really beautiful headlights, we have wide winglets, we have those air pockets. So from the front, this bike looks like mini SRK450, which I like a lot. The heart of SRK450 RR is this parallel twin engine. We have 53 horsepower, we have 43 newton meters of torque, so this engine will be more powerful than QJMOTOR 450 SR. However, this is 180-degree crankshaft, not 270, so the sound would be a bit different. One thing I wanted to talk about is the front suspension. This is Marzocchi non-adjustable upside down front fork, and guys, before we could see Marzocchi suspension only on very expensive bikes. Right now, QJMOTOR decided to put it on their 450 bike, which is a cool thing to have. And from behind we have a monoshock, which comes from Marzocchi as well. And speaking about the design, of course, we can see one-sided swing arm, which looks very good. The only thing which spoils the view, in my personal opinion, is this huge exhaust pipe. On QJMOTOR SRS, we had a tiny pipe, so the wheel was exposed. This time the wheel is partially exposed. However, it still looks good. So from the front we have 300mm dual disc. So this is not a single disc, we have dual disc, and we have 4-piston caliper from Nissan. And guys, the weight of the bike is only 173 kilograms. This is a carbureted bike. And once I hit the brakes, I feel as if I can do stoppies, I can do whatever I want, because the braking power of these brakes is just enormous. And from behind we have 240mm single disc with 1-piston caliper, which comes from Nissan as well. The only complaint of mine is the clutch. We have the clutch lever, which engages way too soon for my liking, but some people would like it. As we can see over here in front of me, I have this beautiful 14.8-liter gas tank, and it's a pretty decent capacity given that we're talking about a small displacement bike. So this bike has 6-speed gearbox. Let me try to find neutral once we're standing. Yep, yeah, neutral, second gear, neutral, first gear, neutral. Once you're standing, you can find neutral pretty much every single time. And again, once you go fast, neutral is pretty hard to find. This is exactly what you want from a sports bike. Honestly, SRK450 RR is probably the best bang for your buck, just because it gives you pretty much everything you need. Come on, what do we have? Traction control? Yes. ABS? Yes. 5-inch beautiful TFT dash? Yes. Power modes? Yes. Dual-sided disc from the front? Yes. Come on, like, what else do you need? Just tell me, what else do you need? Maybe you need more than 50 horsepower? Or maybe you need 43 newton meters of torque? Maybe you need the best 0 to 100 acceleration from the class? If you need all those things, this bike gives you everything I just mentioned. The price of this bike is 28,000 RMB. It's cheaper than QJMOTOR 450 SR. And it's much cheaper than SRS. And again, SR, as far as I recall, doesn't have traction control, and this bike has everything. Vogue, SR, these two bikes, they do not have power modes. this bike has it. Those two bikes have single-sided brakes. This one has dual-sided 300mm brake. So guys, I mean, I don't know, this is a very hard choice. I'm a fanboy of CF Moto, as you know, right? But to be honest with you, I feel like this SRK450 has done enough to be a better option, to be the best bang for your buck. With that being said, I mean, I was trying to be as honest as possible. But again, please let me know what you think about this bike in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And guys, stay safe. And as always, I see you in my next videos. Bye bye everybody. Take care.